Hello, and welcome to this edition of Takeaway Tuesday, where today we're going to be talking about choosing an appropriate topic for an effective narrative practice. Research indicates that about 43 to 75% of all child sexual abuse cases involves repeated maltreatment. And what this means is when we go to interview a child, their memories of these repeated events become interwoven and kind of clumped together. And then when we come along and we want to ask the child to delineate between those events, we want the child to talk about one event and then another event and another event. Those memories, because they're interwoven and connected together, makes it extremely challenging for the child to give us separate details dependent on the episode. The challenge then becomes they appear less competent when they go to court. It's really challenging for them to give us the details. But an effective narrative practice teaches the child the level of detail that we need, how we want the children to separate out these different incidences of maltreatment. And so we give them an opportunity to practice. Children who have had an effective narrative practice, they can give us more details. They have a better time with differentiating different events, and they also give us more narrative. Now, unfortunately, what we see often is interviewers will come along and they will ask about, tell me about your morning, or talk to me about your last birthday. And there's problems with each of these topics. They're really not providing that effective narrative practice that we want to see with children. So let's start off with asking about a child's morning. So I want you to think about your own routine as you're getting ready for work or you're getting up in the morning. And you think about, well, I get up. I maybe take a shower. I get dressed. I brush my teeth. If you're a woman, maybe you put your makeup on. But you have different steps within your day, and it's fairly routine. And so we come along and we ask children, well, tell me about your morning from the time you got up until the time that you came here. And I have had children say, I got up, I came here. So I think, okay, well, that didn't work. Let me go back and say, well, tell me the first thing you did when your eyes opened. I got up. What's the very next thing you did? I came here. And it's just really challenging because there's so much routine in our morning activities. So what we want to say is that when you conduct a narrative practice, asking about their morning, because it is so generally routine, is not effective. Another topic that we often see is, oh, tell me about your last birthday. And the belief is that a child's birthday would be memorable, that it would be something they would be able to talk about, even if it was months ago. Unfortunately, for some children, birthday is not an effective, or I should say, birthdays may not be happy events. And I have heard children say, we don't celebrate birthdays in my family. There was no money for presents this year. It was during COVID and we didn't get to have a party. Or maybe I didn't even get what I asked for. So the assumption, and that is what gets you and I into trouble as interviewers, the assumption is that birthdays are positive events, and for many children, they're not. And so I can only imagine how a child might feel if I, the interviewer, is bringing up an event that is less than positive. So then that leaves us, where do we go? What should we ask about? What's the most effective? So what we want and what we encourage is think back to rapport development. And we usually start rapport with the questions, tell me about yourself, or tell me some things you'd like me to know. And sometimes children will give us a list and they get really excited and they're sharing information, they're informing, they're telling us what's important to them. Sometimes children may say, well, what do you want me to talk about? And then we would say, well, tell me some things you enjoy doing. So we're looking for an activity. What we encourage you to do in narrative practice is to go back to the topic that the child put on the table. So if the child is telling you that they play softball and that they enjoy softball, and we've said, talk to me about playing softball, tell me some more, and maybe in rapport building, we've really exhausted playing softball. Well, playing softball is generic, it's script. And so if a child says, we do this, we do this, we do this, that is scripting. Instead, what we want in narrative practice is we want that child to talk to us about one time they played a softball game. And so we would say, talk to me. You were telling me about playing softball, and you had mentioned a tournament, and your team came in first place. And you said in that tournament and that game that you won, that you caught a fly ball. I want you to think about that game where you caught the fly ball and talk to me about that one game from beginning to end. And then you, as the interviewer, are going to listen. You are going to use narrative encouraging prompts using your breadth and your depth questions. You're going to gather as much information, but you are really modeling for the child the type of narrative, the type of detail, the depth of details that you would need should that child make a disclosure in the substantive phase of the interview. So our encouragement is listen for some cues or clues the child gives you in rapport development, and then delve into that further in your narrative practice. If you'd like more information, please check out calio.org. Also look at the NCAC Virtual Training Center for different webinars and seminars that have been recorded with experts in the field. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please email me at the link below. Thanks and have a great day.